Hey there, it's time for another slightly redneck video. Today I want to talk about lacto-fermentation of vegetables, and specifically how to, well, I shouldn't say how to, I should say containers that you can use for lacto-fermenting. There are all kinds of fancy crocks and things that you can buy that get incredibly expensive, so I want to keep it cheap and I want to keep it simple for you. So we're going to use a mason jar. The hard thing about using a mason jar for a fermentation crock is that when you're fermenting vegetables, you need to keep all the air out. So you need some kind of airlock on your fermentation crock or on your mason jar. And today I want to show you, they make specialty airlocks for mason jars, but again, they're pretty expensive. So I want to show you how you can make your own, a very cheap, do-it-yourself mason jar airlock. So let me get into it and we'll show you just how easy it is. Alright, so again we're working on my reloading bench, so if you see, bullet casings or something laying around, that's not part of the project here, but basically what I've got is a wide mouth mason jar. Make sure you get a wide mouth mason jar, and I'll show you why, because if you know anything about fermenting, you need to hold all your vegetables down below the brine. You need some kind of weight to do it, and these little well, I don't know what size these are, but the smallest mason jar you can get fits right inside a wide mouth mason jar, and you just fill this up with some brine and drop it down on top of your vegetables, and it weights everything down and keeps it down below the brine. The other thing you're going to need is one of these ball plastic storage caps. I'm sure there's other brands. I bought these, I think, I don't know, at the grocery store or something. This is actually the regular mouth size. Make sure you get the wide mouth size. I didn't have the box for it anymore. But they're cheap. I think I paid $3 for a whole box of them, and there's, I don't know, 10, there's 8 in the box. That fits right on your mason jar. These are just great to have for multiple things, but it's going to be a key to our airlock. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the jar for right now. You're going to need to get a rubber stopper. Now, I picked this up at the local liquor store. They have some homebrew stuff, and they have these stoppers. This is a number 7. The last fermentation crock I made out of a mason jar, I used a number 6. It doesn't really matter, just get what you can get. And then pick up an airlock as well, a double airlock. So that's going to fit right down inside that stopper. And these work great. And this was another $1.50 maybe for each of these, so another $3. So you're in this $6 and you've got extra lids. So, pretty cheap to make a mason jar fermentation. And what I'm going to do, pretty easy, I'm going to take my drill. I've got a 1 1/4 inch paddle bit. If you don't have this size of a drill, like a paddle bit like this that can drill a hole, you could use a Dremel to cut the hole out. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but try to keep it as uniform and smooth as you can. This is a rubber stopper. You're going to be shoving down in there, so it's going to fill up kind of the gaps and things, but you just want to keep it as straight and smooth as you can. I went with a 1 1/4 inch because it's slightly bigger, if you can see that, slightly bigger than the bottom, but it's slightly smaller than the top, so that cork's not going to the stopper's not just going to fall right through. It's going to stop in the lid. So basically I'm going to put this on the jar. I'm going to put the drill bit right here in the center, and I'm going to drill a hole down through the lid itself. I'm going to leave this on the jar so it catches all my mess inside the jar, and it's easier to clean up. So getting started is pretty easy. Now I will say, when you're drilling this, let the drill do the work. Don't push down too hard, because otherwise it's going to split your lid. So what I want to do is keep this, I don't want to put a lot of downward pressure on this. I'm going to let the drill do the work, and it's going to take a little bit longer than if I was drilling through like wood or something. Okay, so much for my idea of catching the mess in the mason jar. That did not work. So anyway, it's going to be messy. You might want to do it outside instead of inside. I got it most of the way off. If you can see, it's still pretty much right there. I'm going to take my pocket knife and just trim this stuff off. Pretty easy to do. If you've got something that's an 1 1/4 inch wide, you should be able to just heat it up and melt it off there. But like I said, it's pretty easy to trim up with my pocket knife, as long as you keep your knife sharp. And if you need help with that, I've got a great video on how to sharpen a knife. Okay, trim off the burrs and the edges that are loose. you don't have a knife, you can use sandpaper to do this, or a file, or whatever. Any of that stuff's going to work. Alright, got this pretty much taken care of, pretty much cleaned up, and we have a hole in our lid. And I'm just going to take this cork, or this stopper, and stuff it down in there. It should get a little bit hard to push. You want to push it down until it's solid and it's in the lid. There's not really any gaps or anything where air is going to get in. It's pretty much filled it up. Then I'm going to take my airlock, and you guessed it, I'm going to shove it down in the stopper. You have to kind of put a little bit of force on this and kind of twist it as you go. You don't need to have it all the way through the stopper. Just have it in there to where it's in there good. It's not going to fall out if you tip it upside down or anything like that. That's pretty much all there is to it. It'll screw right down on top of your down on top of your mason jar. You're going to fill, if you've never used an airlock, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a line that says max there and max there. You're going to fill this up with water. You're going to have water going from here to here. And that's it. Just water in that section right there. What this will do is it'll let the gas escape from the jar, but it won't let air come back in. So it works great. Keeps your stuff from molding. Again, all you're going to do is, mix your vegetables up, and I'll do some maybe videos on how to make sauerkraut or something like that. But whatever you're using, put it in the jar, put the brine over it, fill the jar with brine, drop this down on top of it for a weight to keep everything under the brine, and put the lid on it, set it in a warm place, and forget it. You don't have to burp this or anything. This is going to do it on its own. So anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it. So leave your comments. Let me know if you've tried something different. But for $6, I don't think you can beat it. I think it works great, and I get a jar of sauerkraut made at a time, or a jar of whatever it is I want to make, and I don't have to commit to a whole crock full of vegetables that I may or may not eat, may or may not like. So hopefully that helps. As always, again, leave your comments. Follow me on Facebook. Let me know how you're doing, and God bless.